I know you are all here to learn C programming, but before we go deeper into the C programming itself, I thought it will be beneficial for you to be familiar with programming itself. What is programming, right? So why is it such a big deal? So I would be talking about 4 useful topics to give you an introduction to programming, right? One is to get an understanding of how the computing happens in a computer. Okay. And then, because once you understand the under the hood activities of a computer, then you will realize that in order to program that computer, then you need what are known as high-level languages. So I'll talk a little bit about high-level languages. Then we will jump straight into the C language. I'll tell you more about the C programming language. And I will conclude this introduction part of it by talking about the life cycle of a C program. Okay? All right. So let's try to understand how does computing happen in a computer. Okay? So the most important engine of the computer is the CPU, the central processing unit. I'm sure all of you know about it, right? So this is the workhorse under any computer, right? Now, these days, when I'm saying computer, the computer is not limited to a large desktop that is sitting in your table, right? So even our phone is a computer, right? So even a watch is a computer. So anywhere there is a computer, there has to be a CPU, right? So which is abbreviated as a processor, right? The most important task, and possibly the only task of the CPU, is to carry out instructions given in a program, right? Now, program itself, you put together multiple programs together, then we call them as software, right? So you talk about the Android operating system software. At the end of the day, even that is a collection of programs, okay? The second important element of the computer is the memory, right? So that is the place where data is created and used by the CPU, okay? So which means that is the place where all the information that your software wants to handle is stored and manipulated, okay? So later on, I will tell you more about other places where information and data is stored and manipulated. But as far as the core computing itself is concerned, memory is the place where all the data that is used by the CPU resides. Okay? And finally, you have the instructions which are there in the CPU, which the CPU carries out, and then you have the data. But you need some mechanism to reach these instructions and data into the computer, right? So that is where the input devices come into the picture, right? So your keyboard is an input device, right? So your mouse is an input device. So there are so many input devices through which you can reach data, information, and instructions into the computer, right? Along similar lines, we have the output device, which is used for showing the output produced by the software. Okay, you will notice that I will be using the term program and software kind of interchangeably when it does not matter. Okay, but wherever I want to have a specific reference to a program, I will use the term called program. So let's move on.